Okay, it's my time. Okay, all right. So, welcome again. So, today I wanted to talk a little bit about fear and the opposite, no fear. Uh, the first thing I want to say is, and when I recognized this, it was eye opening for me because what it said was your body doesn't know if the tiger is in the room or if it is in your head, right? Change change my thinking all around, right? Because and the next thing that comes up are movies. When you go to a movie, a scary movie, it's almost as if Jason is in the room with you, right? Even though we know that that isn't the case. And so fear is a fear is not the best place to be, right? Because out of fear comes, anxiety or anger or all these other things, right? I can just tell you about my experiences and we'll go from there. I used to be afraid to speak. I know you can't believe it right now, but I used to be afraid to speak. It was, and I hadn't even spoken yet. It was just you watch other people and you keep saying in your head, I can't do that, I can't do that, I'm going to forget what I'm saying. And it was like that over and over, even though I had never spoken, right? So I built up all this fear. I think Eckhart Tolle calls that like the fear body. All your fears you built up in your body, and at some point something comes out. So I was so afraid to speak, and most of that was in my head. 99% of that was in my head. And in my head, it was also in the future. It hadn't even happened yet. So I was causing trauma to my body by my thinking over these thoughts. And then if somebody were to say, well, you have to speak, then I might go into this anger phase. Like, oh, just because of something that hasn't even happened yet. Right? So we got to understand how fear works in our body, right? And then we also have to talk about thoughts that we keep doing over and over and over and over and over. Again, the body doesn't know the difference, right? And the more we think about something, the more likely it is to happen, or the more likely it is to put it into that space where we keep thinking over the dentist, right? I'm better at the dentist now, because before you go to the dentist, or when you go to the dentist, you get a shot. It hurts like hell if there's such a thing, right? It hurts, and it might hurt for 30 seconds. 30 seconds it might hurt, if that long. And so a lot of us are the next 20 years we've built up this fear that when I go to the dentist next, which is again in the future, in your mind, you're building this thing up. So at some point, that thing bubbles over, and then you're angry at everybody, and you don't even know why, right? And so a lot of people tend to circumvent this fear thing. And so the best thing to do is you have to somewhat sit with that energy at some point, because you can't go around it, because wherever you go, the fear is there. And you have to just sit with it. Most people don't even know why they're fearful or why they're angry, because anger is just fear in a different spot. So we all need to watch these thoughts over and over and over. And so at some point, you have to realize that you are more than your thoughts. You are more than your body. You have to somewhat realize that there's something greater, some essence that is within you that it will help you overcome whatever that affliction is, that fear or anxiety, whatever that is, right? So what you have to do is, and I do this at times, but it's fleeting because it comes and then it goes. And so my task at this point is to try to sustain this place I'm going to talk about in a minute. Sustain it all day, all night, all week. And it's a place where, as the thoughts come by, I just let them go by. I don't put a color to it, a shape to it, a name to it. I don't associate things to it, to that thought. I have to watch it. Right? They're like rabbit holes. The thoughts come up and people follow, and that's natural. The mind is working. That's the way it's supposed to be, right? It's supposed to bring up thoughts, but for us, we have to step back and say, okay, I'm greater than all this stuff here. And the trick is can you just not add a name, nomenclature to the thought? Just whatever it is, let it come up, and it will go. Let it come up, and it will go. The hardest thing to do. You can't stop the thinking, because that's what your mind is supposed to do. But you can realize that I am not attached to every single thought that comes up. Right? We have to, at some point, you have to, and this is going to take some time for some people, right? I still go back into, the sniffing every thought that comes up, But if you just watch it, and let it go, you realize that there's some inner peace inside of you that's just sitting there that you can sit and relax in and watch all these other things go by, right? The difficulty, again, is when it comes up, not to name it. It's not female, it's not male, just something that passes by. And then once you get a little bit better at it, then you realize that you can hear other things going on. You can hear communication from whatever it is, your soul, your angels, your guides, whatever you want to call it. But you have to stop this constant addiction to thoughts. That was the hardest thing for me to swallow when I did hear it. You can be addicted to thinking. The mind wants you to think because that's what it's built for. But most people don't realize that what you keep thinking, the universe doesn't say that's good for you or that's not good for you. It just offers up the same as your vibration. Right? It doesn't say, oh, Claxton, that red car isn't good for you. Or, it doesn't say, oh, it just says, what is your vibration right now? Am I in this easygoing, relaxing, all-knowing place? Or am I in the fight with every thought that goes by? And either way, I'm offering this vibration. And you get whatever comes after that. Just by default, just by design, just by natural law, you keep offering this, and the universe keeps giving you stuff. And people say, why do these things keep happening to me? Because you keep doing the same thing, thinking the same thing over and over and over. Right? I fear I'm going to lose this. So I'm gonna do this so I don't lose this. Right? Like I'm going to lose my house. I could think about that, or I could enjoy where I'm at right now, because I'm in the house right now. And am I thinking about some future time which hasn't even happened yet? Or am I enjoying where I am right now? Right? And so we need to know these two places. Right? I'm not saying there are things that won't be fearful, but once you understand the process, if you know you're hurting yourself, then it's up to you to change your course. Right? A lot of people don't know they're hurting themselves. They don't know that their thoughts come back to them. So, that's okay for them. But once you realize that I can hurt myself by doing this, if you know that you're going to get burned by the flame, are you going to put your finger in the fire? You won't. Once you realize that the more negative thoughts I have, the more I'm going to get that kind of energy, you won't do it. People don't understand that yet, right? Again, people come to me, they don't understand it yet. Because once you start doing that, then things. It's almost like things won't be different. They just look different because you're looking different at it. The same thoughts are going to come up, but you're looking from a different perspective. And then off goes your life that way, right? I always tell people as well, you need to have some type of spiritual practice, whatever that may be, right? Meditation, running, it could be some. I forgot I had somebody in class was like, I can't meditate. But so then meditation needs to be not just sitting in a room trying to be quiet and relax. Your meditation could be walking on the lake, or riding a bike, or just watching the birds, right? But you have to have some spiritual point of view so you can get out of this the ego mind, right? The physicalness of it, right? So, because once you start looking at something spiritual, then automatically you're going to start to change, right? Because you're going to say, okay, I want to find out what is something that's greater than me. You're going to start looking to see, oh, how can I help myself, everybody else, right? And you move a little bit at a time away from that ego mind, right? The ego is a good thing. It does its job. It just runs life for most people because they don't realize that there's this other part of you, right, that is connected to everything, everywhere. And when I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. If you realize that you were connected there, then you would stay there more. And then once you get this spiritual vibe going, then this anger thing doesn't pop up so much, right? Most people don't realize that if I hit you, hurt you, eventually I'm hurting myself, right? You know how that works. If I keep hitting you with a hammer, sooner or later you're going to get tired and you're going to hit me back with the hammer. So in hurting you, eventually I'm hurting myself, right? And so we need to start thinking that way. We don't think of ourselves as a family. You don't hurt your family. I always come back to this. You don't hurt your family. War, right? I was in the service for quite a while. And what we would do was, and in the Air Force, I felt safe. Even in war, I felt safe because I was in the Air Force and we just sent our planes over to bomb these people over yonder who I don't know, I don't see, right? But once I got out and I started this journey, I got to realize that I'm hurting myself when I'm doing that. Or no, I have to extend my family to those people so I don't feel like I have to harm them, right? Because that's how we do with war. We don't know them, so we can bomb them, right? When we're all from the same place, the same energy, the same God, as we would call it, right? So those are the things we need to learn. If I am angry at you, I'm pretty much angry at myself. And for me, when I was angry, I had to figure out why am I in this state? Why am I in this state? That's how my journey really started here, right? I had some things going in my life, and I had to figure out, how did I get there? Or what is it about me that made these people do these things to me? That's how I started out. And then along the way, I realized that those people didn't do anything to me. I was doing it all to myself. I just didn't know. And so once I started realizing, I decided I'm taking 50% of whatever it is that's going on. I'm taking half of it, half of the blame. right? And then once I started doing that, I realized those things happen less and less and less. Because I realized, okay, if I am having these thoughts and these things are happening, then if I don't have those thoughts, then those things weren't happening, right? And so that's how my journey went on. It even got down to where I used to do karate a lot, or before I did karate, everybody always wanted to fight, right? And it's like I don't understand it. I was in the whole energy of it. But then once I learned karate, nobody wanted to fight, right? It was like whole mindset changed, right? So I had some type of fear there in the beginning. That's why that stuff kept happening. And then when I didn't have that fear anymore, right, just through the practice, that didn't happen anymore. Right? So all the things you think are out of your control are not. Right? Some people say, I can't control my anger. If you keep saying that, then you can't control your anger. You're almost like you're giving your power away. Because you're saying, I can't do this. And it's not that you can't do this, it's that your mind keeps saying, oh, I can't do this. So you're setting things up far in advance. I can't do it. And the universe just says, okay, you can't do it. Here you go. You can't do it. Right? Some things are easy and some things are not so easy. Right? But you just got to realize that you're thinking about these things over and over in a negative way is what is affecting you. And then if you're angry, underneath, mostly there's something you fear. Something you fear losing, something you fear not having, something you fear not happening, and then it balls over into anger. So you have to see what are these thoughts going through my mind as I am so angry? What is it? Let me look at what are these things, right? And then once you start looking at those things, then those things start to change, right? The first thing is I have a problem. And once you say, I have a problem, then things start working for you. Most people don't know they have a problem, so they keep doing it over and over and over. They just don't know, right? But once you say, I have this issue, then Spirit says, okay, you admitted it, now let's start to work on it. And then you just start to look for things that are opposite to these things, something positive. Because there's a balance you need to have. Because there will never be no fear. It's just you're going to choose this other side, this positive thing, these things I want, these things I can help, these things I can grow, right? Because you can't have fear without the other one. You can't have one without the other one. You just get to choose one, right? And most people want to fight away the other one, and you can't fight away anything. I always say this, the more fight you give, the more you get stuck to it. It's like the tar baby, and that's the analogy, right? You keep fighting these things, and you fight it with one hand, and then you fight with another hand, and then you put your foot on, and you got your head on, and then you call your neighbor, and they come, and everybody's fighting, and then this thing never goes away. Because we keep trying to fight it away. And if you were to just, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I need to look at. And then, like magic, these things kind of fade away. But it's not magic. You just took your energy away from, these things that piss me off or make me angry, And they're usually about somebody else. Man, they do something and I'm just pissed, and those things are out of your control. You can't do nothing about what anybody else does. There's no way you can do that. That's just not how the laws work. The universal laws work. Right? Everybody gets to do their own thing. And then we get to watch and decide if we want to be in the fight or if we want to be in this peaceful place where we can do exponentially more than we can if we're in the fight. Right? It's like Okay, I gotta stop. It's like for me now, I see all this stuff going on around the world, and we want to feed the world. We want to feed the hungry. We want to stop the war, but you can't be in there doing it. You can do more from your spiritual self, your spiritual path, your spiritual energy in this place than if you are in the fight itself. Right? You're in the fight. Usually, you're by yourself in the fight. But if you're in this place, you have the whole universe with you right there. So you do your prayers from this non-judgmental, quiet, peaceful place. And then whatever energy you sends out has the energy of all the stuff that's back here. That's inside you, call it whatever you want. And most people want to be like in the fight. You know? And I don't blame those people. Some people have to step up. But for me, I believe I can do more in this quiet place here. Right? That's where Buddha used to go. Right? That's where Jesus used to go. That's where Babaji used to go when they would materialize things out of what we call ectoplasm or energy. Everybody has this energy that comes out. And then you can take that energy and mold it into whatever you want, right? But if you're up here, it'll never happen up here in this physical place where we're trying to beat these things up, you know, or try to figure out what they are, you know. You just got to step back and realize that, yeah, I have control over all this stuff. I have no control over what anybody else does, you know. And so that is what I'm going to leave you with today at this point. I don't like to talk, so don't get me going. Does anybody have any questions right now?
I have no questions, but I have an example, you know, about displacement of pain and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, they gave shots, and they used the same needle over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a thick needle, probably like a 16 or 14 gauge.
Mm-hmm.
And they hurt,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But my doctor, when he was ready to give me a shot, he punched me in my left arm and gave
Right.
me a shot in my right arm.
Right.
And that didn't hurt.
Right. Right, exactly right. So you're displacing, or you took that energy away from. So all he did was, and he probably didn't even know that, hey, this is some spiritual thing. I'm just going to take your mind off of it. But they do that. Sometimes they do that. They do that. Right. So what that does is that takes your energy away from what is happening here, you know, puts it on something else. Right. That's just the process. That's just the process to get your mind away from it, even for a minute or a second. And then then it doesn't feel painful, because ultimately it really isn't painful. And from this point back here, it's not even there's no pain. Right? So we have a body, which sometimes we call pain, or from here, you know, that pain is, I'm separate from the pain, so it doesn't affect my whole energy that I'm putting out. Right? So, good example. You just got to steer your mind away from what the deal is, and then people say, "Oh, it went away." No, you just took your mind from it, right? And you did that. Nobody else outside of you did that, right? All right. Question? What? Okay. All right. So fear and no fear. I'll leave that with you today. Fearless. Fearless, right?